The 2012 season saw the debut of the Marussia Formula 1 team, who were previously known as Marussia Virgin Racing, renamed from Manor Marussia after originally debuting in 2010 as Manor Grand Prix. The specific Marussia Formula 1 team entered 74 races and scored just 2 points, with drivers such as Timo Glock, Max Chilton and Jules Bianchi. But is there a world where they can successfully return to Formula 1? Now let's find out. So I loaded up F1 2026 DLC, created a brand new team signing rookies Luke Browning and Leonardo Fornaroli before simulating the next 10 seasons of Formula 1. Make sure you like this video if you do enjoy, hype the video to push it out to more viewers, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The 2026 season shaped up to be somewhat close, with 5 different race winners, after Oscar Piastri broke the Australia curse. His teammate Lando Norris secured victory in Monaco, while both Ferrari drivers took race wins and George Russell was the sole Mercedes. This did mean that Mercedes failed to win the title, finishing just behind Ferrari, while McLaren remained at the top of the sport to retain their Constructors' Championship. Marussia's return season wasn't the greatest as they finished down in P10, with Leonardo Fornaroli being their highest finisher in P17. The top 3 would copy the pattern of the Constructors' Championship, with the McLaren driver Oscar Piastri just missing out on the top 3. He finished just 2 points behind IRL contender George Russell, who took that 3rd place finish, but was slightly further behind the runner-up of Charles Leclerc. This meant that the McLaren driver Lando Norris was able to retain his Drivers' Championship during the first season of this simulation, taking a total of 7 race wins along the way. His teammate Oscar Piastri managed to take 6 race wins, just like Charles Leclerc, with George Russell winning 4 races and allowing Lewis Hamilton his maiden victory at the Ferrari team. Now, there will be quite a large transfer market after the very first season, with top drivers such as Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen both leaving the sport, just like Nico Hülkenberg and Marussia driver Luke Browning being dropped from their teams. Gabriel Bortoleto will then move over to Ferrari, with the newest Audi lineup consisting of Pepe Marti and Jack Crawford. Oscar Piastri leaves McLaren in favour of that open Red Bull seat, with his seat being taken by Liam Lawson, allowing a move for Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, who will move over to Haas. Marussia will then bring over Arvid Lindblad, while the Racing Bulls replace him with Sergio Perez. Alpine and Williams swap Franco Colapinto and Alex Albon, while the final seats open will see Alex Dunn come in at Aston Martin, while Victor Martins will debut at the Cadillac team. Another strong season for Lando Norris, who would be the only McLaren winner, just like Oscar Piastri and Bortoleto, who were their team's only success. Both Mercedes drivers managed to win races, while none other than Sergio Perez took his new Racing Bulls to victory in Monaco. The Marussia team made slight improvements up to P9, with the top 3 also seeing small changes after Mercedes overtook Ferrari, but fell almost 100 points short of the retaining McLaren team. Lindblad came in for a solid first season with his new team, successfully beating his teammate. Now, with both Leclerc and Verstappen gone, Lewis Hamilton returned to the top 3 to finish in 3rd place. Now, he didn't quite finish anywhere near the runner-up of George Russell, who once again finished quite far behind the reigning champion Lando Norris, who managed to secure a 3rd title in a row. He scored over 500 points after taking an incredible 14 race wins, with the runner-up Russell winning 6, and a single victory was taken by Piastri, Antonelli, Bortoleto and obviously somehow Sergio Perez. There was nowhere near as many driver moves this year, with just 2 drivers, those being Alex Albon and Alex Dunn, only completing 1 season with their new teams before being dropped. Isaac Hadjar will take the open Alpine seat, with Oliver Behrman joining Red Bull and Sergio Perez moving to Haas. Victor Martins will then join Aston Martin, with Cadillac signing Richard Verschoor for his debut, while Joshua Dirksen also comes in to drive for the Racing Bulls. Even more race winners this season, with Norris once again starting strong, as both Mercedes drivers are able to win races. Lewis Hamilton extended his incredible record, while Piastri and his new Red Bull teammate Oliver Behrman both found success. Las Vegas would see a completely different race winner, after Carlos Sainz took his Williams car to victory, but that wasn't his first win of the season. Williams would only manage a P4 in the standings, just behind Ferrari, while the newest Marussia team moved up to P7. McLaren were knocked off at the top of the standings, as the Mercedes team returned to take their first title of the video. Now, despite his success, Hamilton dropped out with the top 3, being overtaken by Kimi Antonelli, who moved up to 3rd place. The top 2 were then miles ahead of the rest, but it would be George Russell once again finishing as the runner-up, allowing Lando Norris to retain his championship title for the 4th year in a row. That was just over 50 points separating the top 2, with Norris's 8 race wins outperforming Russell's 5. Carlos Sainz somehow managed to take 6 race wins while finishing in P4, while Hamilton won twice, and Antonelli and both Red Bull drivers won just 1 race each. But it would end up being Hamilton's last dance, as both he and Valtteri Bottas will retire at the end of the 3rd season. Their seats will be taken by returning winners as Ferrari bring back their golden boy Charles Leclerc, while Max Verstappen is brought back in by the Cadillac team. Now, despite his consistency, Fornaroli is dropped by the Marussia team, as they decide to bring in the former champion Fernando Alonso to try and continue their improvements. Haas will then sign Isaac Hadjar, with Esteban Ocon joining Alpine, allowing Ritomo Miata to make his debut with the Racing Bulls next year. There is a different winner to start off this season, as Charles Leclerc's return race ended in a win, with last season's runner-up George Russell also continuing his success. Oscar Piastri carried on his winning streak, while Carlos Sainz once again topped the podium. His teammate Franco Colapinto would also take his first race victory at none other than the Monaco Grand Prix. Marussia remained steady this season after remaining in P7, after the incredible seasons from Sainz and Colapinto saw Williams rise to championship glory, overtaking the former champions of Mercedes. Colapinto had a great season up in P5, with the former champion Lando Norris finishing just behind, and George Russell dropping down to 3rd place. Carlos Sainz's incredible season was capped off by finishing in the runner-up spot, but would finish just over 120 points behind the newest champion, which comes in the form of Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc. Now he did manage to win his very first world title here, winning a total of 12 races across the season, while the runner-up Carlos Sainz won just 5. Sainz's teammate managed to take his first 4 race wins, while George Russell won twice and Oscar Piastri just once. Multiple driver swaps were made this season, with the only driver leaving the sport being Liam Lawson, being replaced by Sami Megatunif. Charles Leclerc and Oliver Behrman will then swap seats, while multiple-time champions Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen will also swap teams for Season 5. The final swap sees Cadillac unveil a new lineup signing Victor Martins, while Richard Verschoor will sign and drive for Aston Martin. Oscar Piastri has broken the Australian curse once again, as he takes victory at his home race, with his teammate Leclerc also finding his success in Miami. Both Williams drivers continue to secure race wins, just like Mercedes drivers George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, who took the most prestigious victory in Monaco. The Constructors' Championship does see a huge shake-up, with last season's champions of Williams dropping to 3rd, while the newest Marussia team rose to P6. Red Bull Racing will then be our latest Constructors' Champions, outscoring the runners-up Mercedes by almost 200 points. The Drivers' Championship would then replicate the Constructors, with the Williams pairing finishing just behind the Mercedes pairing, with George Russell staying in 3rd place. They then finished behind both Red Bull drivers, but it would be Oscar Piastri finishing as the runner-up, as Charles Leclerc managed to retain his title despite joining a new team. Another strong season from Leclerc saw 10 race wins, with Antonelli taking 4, while their teammates Piastri and Russell won 3 times each. Both Williams drivers won twice, while Lando Norris failed to win a Grand Prix, but did take a sprint race win. Now it has been a long time coming, but Fernando Alonso will eventually retire at the ripe old age of 49. Another 2 drivers will leave Formula 1, with both Pierre Gasly and Arvid Lindblad being replaced by Liam Lawson at Alpine and Alex Albon at Marussia. Now coming in at Cadillac will be Carlos Sainz, allowing George Russell to return to Williams, and Sergio Perez moves to former champions of Mercedes. The final open seat will then bring Alex Dunn back after being dropped at the end of Season 2. After moving back to Williams, George Russell kept up his continuous success, winning the first Grand Prix in Australia, while the Red Bull pairing were the only other drivers to win a Grand Prix. And with only one Williams driver securing victory, they moved up to the runner-up spot, but they couldn't stop Red Bull from winning a 2nd consecutive Constructors' Championship. Marussia remained in P6, while their drivers finished on the verge of the top 10. Falling a place down to P3 would be Oscar Piastri, who only took his Red Bull to victory on 2 occasions. Charles Leclerc was so close to securing a 3rd championship in a row, but was unfortunately knocked off the top step by a brand new champion. After returning to his debut team of Williams, George Russell had the strongest season of all to win his very first Drivers' Championship, outscoring the former champion of Leclerc by just under 75 points. And as we transition to 16 race seasons, the newest champion George Russell took 9 race wins, while Leclerc managed 5 and Piastri managed to win twice. There will be just 1 driver swap at the end of the season, with Carlos Sainz retiring and being replaced by Roman Stanek, who will drive for Cadillac in Season 7. A massive increase in race winners this season, as Oscar Piastri was the first of 7. Leclerc would once again win races, with Lando Norris returning to win proper races this year. Last season's champion George Russell won again, just like his former teammate Kimi Antonelli, while Gabriel Bortoleto secured victory in Monaco, and Max Verstappen won his first race in quite a while, also recording the first race win for the new Marussia team. Despite this, Marussia would still stay in P6, as Red Bull stayed at the top of the standings to win another Constructors' Championship. Oscar Piastri would fall down to P5 this season, dropping out of the top 3 and finishing just 6 points ahead of Max Verstappen, who took his Marussia to their highest finish yet. Last season's runner-up Charles Leclerc fell down to 3rd place this season, once again finishing behind George Russell, who failed to retain his Drivers' Championship. Instead, yet another new champion is set to be crowned, after the inevitable Kimi Antonelli topped the standings to win his first title in Season 7. Now just under 50 points separated the top 2, with the champion winning 5 races, while Russell won just twice. Also winning twice was both Red Bull drivers, while both Max Verstappen and Bortoleto won 1 race each, and Lando Norris rounded out the season with 3 race wins. Another 2 drivers will be made free agents at the end of the season, including race winners Franco Colapinto and Sergio Perez. Liam Lawson will make an unsurprising move over to Williams, with Lance Stroll joining Alpine, allowing Luke Browning to make a very delayed return for Aston Martin. Replacing Sergio Perez at Mercedes will be Max Verstappen, while Oliver Behrman joins Marussia, being replaced by the other Marussia driver Alex Albon, who joins Ferrari. Former champion Charles Leclerc will then join Marussia as well, while Pepe Marti signs for Red Bull, Isaac Hadjar to Audi, and Richard Verschoor moves to Haas. The final open seat will allow for Dino Beganovic to make his debut, signing for Aston Martin next season. Another 7 race winners this season, with Russell once again starting strong in Australia. Both Mercedes drivers, including their new driver Max Verstappen, secured race wins, much like Oscar Piastri, who was the sole Red Bull victor. Lando Norris continued to win races, just like Charles Leclerc, who managed to take his first race win with Marussia, while the newest McLaren driver of Sami Megatuniv secured his maiden race win at the British Grand Prix. Marussia managed to move up to P5 this season, with Red Bull falling to 4th place, being overtaken by McLaren and the eventual returning champions of Mercedes. Both Russell and Leclerc fell out of the top 3 this year, being overtaken by the newest Mercedes driver Max Verstappen, who finished in 3rd place, just behind his new teammate Kimi Antonelli, who dropped to the runner-up spot, failing to secure back-to-back world titles. And somewhat seemingly out of nowhere, a McLaren driver would return to the top spot, with a former champion Lando Norris once again writing his name in the history books to become a 5-time world champion. Norris finished only 6 points ahead of Antonelli, despite Antonelli taking 6 race wins compared to Lando's 4. Piastri would be the only other multiple-time race winner, while a single win came for Verstappen, Russell, Leclerc and Megatuniv. And just as Megatuniv starts to build momentum, he will be dropped by the McLaren team, who prefer to sign Charles Leclerc, as Marussia replace him with Gabriel Bortoleto. Jack Crawford gets a surprising move to Ferrari, with Victor Martins joining Audi, allowing Max Esterson to make his debut in the open Cadillac seat. A trio of moves then occurs, with Richard Verschoor partnering Martins at Audi, replacing Isaac Hadjar, who moves to the Racing Bulls, as Joshua Dirksen joins Haas for the penultimate season of the simulation. George Russell kept his Williams at the top of the sport to take the first race victory in Australia, while both McLaren drivers secured race wins, just like both Mercedes drivers, leaving Oscar Piastri as the lone Red Bull driver to take a victory. The top 6 on the constructors remained the same, with Marussia ahead of Ferrari in P5, while Mercedes remained at the top to win another Constructors' Championship. Max Verstappen couldn't stay in the top 3 this season, being overtaken by the newest McLaren driver Charles Leclerc, who moved up to 3rd place. Now he finished just behind his new teammate and last season champion of Lando Norris, who was relegated to the runner-up spot, as there was no stopping Kimi Antonelli returning to glory, scoring over 300 points and just under 100 points ahead of Lando Norris. A total of 9 races were won by Kimi Antonelli this season, with both Lando Norris and George Russell winning 2 races each, while the rest of the wins were split between Leclerc, Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. The final transfer market will see 3 drivers fail to make the final season, with Ratomo Miata, Esteban Ocon and Roman Stanek just missing out. Alex Dunn will then move to the Racing Bulls, allowing Callum Voisin to come in and debut with a Haas next year. The open Alpine seat will be given to Richard Verschoor, while the other Alpine driver Lance Stroll signs for Audi, being replaced by Jack Crawford. The final open seats allow for Nicolas Solos to sign for Ferrari, while Arvid Lindblom makes a very long-awaited return to drive for Cadillac in the final season. Now unfortunately, Season 10 wasn't the spectacle it was building up to be, with the only race winners coming in the form of McLaren drivers Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, or Mercedes drivers Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen. The only change here sees Marussia rise up to 3rd place, overtaking Williams and Red Bull, as the Mercedes team retain their title to win another Constructors' Championship. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen swapped places, which saw Leclerc drop out and Verstappen enter the top 3 for the final season. The top 2 would then stay the same, as Lando Norris remained as the runner-up, just 60 points behind Kimi Antonelli, who once again dominated the sport to take the final Drivers' Championship of the simulation. He managed to win another 9 races this season, with runner-up Lando Norris winning 4, while Verstappen won twice and Leclerc just once. And that does reach the end of Marussia's returning decade in Formula 1. Let's have a look at the decade as a whole to see who our fastest drivers were. Starting off in the Constructors' Championship, and Ferrari were the only top team to not secure success, but neither did the newest Marussia team. Williams somehow surprisingly returned to glory, but it would be Mercedes that saw the most success after winning 4 titles. Now there was just 4 different drivers champions, with Russell winning his first at Williams, Leclerc winning once at Ferrari and once at Red Bull, while both Antonelli and Norris won their multiple titles driving for just a single team. 13 different drivers managed to win a race, with maiden victories coming from Oliver Behrman, Sami Megatuniv, Gabriel Bortoleto and Franco Colapinto, Now, despite his success, Antonelli only managed to finish 3rd in race wins after he took 35, while Lando Norris ended the simulation with the most race wins, taking 42. That is going to wrap up another F1 26 simulation. Now make sure you drop a like if you did enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There'll be links in the description to the MARUSSIA mod that I've used, as well as my various social media platforms including my Discord server, which is the best way to receive updates about uploads, live streams, but also to talk to me and other viewers of the channel with similar interests. But that is going to be all from me today, so I hope you have a good day, evening or night wherever you are, and goodbye.